Hello everyone, welcome to today's video, and today we're going to go through a bit of prompt engineering. It's going to be a short one, but I wanted to take you through what a good prompt looks like and what a prompt that's not really good looks like. And a prompt is basically the text that you're going to feed into the chatbot, whether it's going to be ChatGPT, it's going to be Claude, or it's going to be Gemini. So here I have some basic examples, and in creative writing I have write a story about a robot, and that's like a very basic example. Feed that into ChatGPT and it's going to come up with a very generic story of a robot that probably killed human beings in the end. And then a well-written prompt is write a 500-word science fiction story from the perspective of a maintenance robot who discovers that they feel emotions that set it in a space station where the robot must choose between following their programming or saving a human crew member. Use a melancholic tone and include sensory details about the surreal environment. So this is a well-written prompt because you can see it has details, it has way more heart compared to just write a story about a robot. And I know what you're thinking is, how do I come up with all this? How do I get the time to write all this down? And don't worry, I'm going to take you through that. It's not that hard. Okay, cool. So that's like a very basic one. And another very basic one when it comes to, like, for example, data analysis will be analyze these sales data. So that's when you just feed it like a bunch of, like an Excel sheet, for example, with a bunch of data from a quarter of a business year, for example. And then here we have a well-written prompt will be analyze these Q3 sales data and analyze the top 3 underperforming product categories, and for each category provide the percentage decline, two potential root causes, and one actionable recommendation. So that one just feels a whole lot better compared to just analyzing this data. And then another really good prompt, another real bad prompt would be make a calculator. And then a well-written prompt will be create a Python calculator class that handles basic arithmetic operations with the following requirements. So it has a bunch of requirements, and the more details you give the prompt, the more details you're going to get in your response. So that's something to always, so the better the prompt that you're feeding to ChatGPT, the better the response. And then here another really good one is help me with my presentation. And here is a well-written prompt would be, I'm presenting a 15-minute pitch to secure 500k funding for my sustainable packaging startup. So this is just, you're giving it context with the prompt, so it knows exactly where it's going to tailor the response to. And the way to think about it is, these models have been trained on huge amounts of data, so it really has it needs context so that it knows exactly how to tailor that response for your specific use case. And my last one here is going to be research and analysis. So what's AI doing to jobs? And it's just, that's a prompt. And then a well-written prompt is analyze AI's impact on employment in the healthcare sector specifically. Because when you say what's AI doing to jobs, you have not really specified which specific industry you want to look at. Is it the tech industry? Is it the law industry? Or is it the healthcare industry? So the more specific you are with the prompt, the more specific the answer is going to be, and it's going to be a it's going to be a really good answer, tailor-made for your specific use case. So looking at all this, one thing that you can tell is each prompt that's well written has a specific persona to it, and that's one of the secrets that we found out when you're coming with Anthropic, I believe, is one who came out with a paper saying that when you give an AI, no, not Anthropic, sorry, OpenAI came up with a paper, and it was basically when you give a persona to an LLM, it's going to give you a way better response. So, for example, if you want a recipe for a specific food, when you just say give me a recipe for this, like for example give me a recipe for vanilla cake, it's not really going to be as good as, for example, give me a recipe for vanilla cake, or sorry, it's not going to be as good of an example as act as a chef who makes cakes for kids who have an allergy to, let's say, chocolate or something else. So when you're giving the persona to the LLM, it's going to come up with a better response compared to you just giving it a generic prompt. So I have an idea on how you can do that. So I have come up with a couple of personas myself, and this is one of my favorite tools that I'm using right now, and it's called Obsidian. And Obsidian is basically a note taking app. And I have a couple of prompt personas that I came up with where I just write, because I reuse this on a day-to-day basis. And you can see, like, for example, here I have a coding persona, and one of the very basic things that I think you should give is make sure that the person that you're giving, make sure that they have a name, make sure that they also have like an amount of time that they've worked in that specific industry. But for it, I didn't necessarily come up with this entire prompt. I just came up with what I needed that prompt to do. And for me to do that, I came up with like the main prompt Alchemist. So what this does is it helps me create other prompts, and this is what I think you should also do. So come up with a main prompt Alchemist using all the details that you want. So for example, with mine, I make sure that they have details, for example, with uh, prompt engineering, because I also wanted to come up with prompts for image generation and to kind of like understand the AI space. So I made sure that this prompt has a very good understanding of AI and just AI, whether it's going to be image generation, whether it's going to be prompt generation. And now after I have this one, once I feed it to an LLM, which I'm going to do right now, and just show you what that looks like. So feed that there, and then I come to ChatGPT here. I can feed it here, get rid of this part here, maybe get rid of this part here as well. So this is just your core identity and mission. So you are Lexi, a digital artisan and visionary in the realm of artificial intelligence. So you feed this one here, and then once it has been fed, I can now get a prompt for anything. So for example, let's say I want a prompt for a content writer. So I want a prompt for a content writer. Let me just get rid of that. Okay, so it's going to think. So now it's asking me what kind of content do I want. You see, it's now asking me very specific questions to know exactly how it should tailor that prompt. And if not, it's still going to generate one. But I can still answer these questions, feed it back to ChatGPT, and then it's going to come up with a tailor-made prompt that's very specific to my use case. So that's the main idea I have, is make sure that somewhere, whether you're going to be using Google Keep, or whether you're going to be using Obsidian, or whether you'll be using Notion, have a prompt gallery where you have all of your prompts that you're using on a daily basis. So for example, it could be a prompt that's helping you with writing emails. Make sure that you give that prompt a persona. Make sure that you can even give them a name. You can even give them a family, give them a gender. Make sure that they have like a persona, an idea. Like, for example, I like giving mine decades of experience in a very specific field. So for example, even for this one, I will say that I want this person to have worked, for example, for the New York Times for like 20 years as a writer or as an editor. And then once you get that prompt, now you can be using it to write blog posts. So that's the idea. Tell me what you think. I think it's one of the things that have helped me a lot with my prompting. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.